Hey, everybody. Welcome in once again to another episode of the Hippie Chick Helps podcast. She is the Hippie Chick. She is Debbie Altman. I'm Bruce Silverman. Debbie.
Bruce, we're back. Another
We're
week,
back.
another podcast.
Yes, we are. And we are going to talk about the classifications of cannabis. I know we went back and forth a little bit on exactly what this episode would be, but we settled into the classifications.
We did. It's something that they're moving away from more and more. And by classifications of cannabis, we're talking about sativa, hybrid, and indica. Any dispensary that you go to when you pick your products, whether it's flower, whether it's a gummy, or a vape, is going to be classified that way. So we, need to talk about it and the differences between them. The topic of terpenes, which I've touched a little bit on, and so have you, we'll cover in another podcast. That's where a lot of the research is going. Hopefully with more research, we'll learn more, because really that's what really gives each of the classifications the effects that they're going to have on different patients.
So let's jump right into it. Sativa.
So sativa, I love sativa. Back in the day when it first came out, there was this theory that sativa, if you had anxiety, was not the strain to use. We've since learned that that's not the case. Obviously, I use cannabis for my anxiety and my PTSD. It really, really helps with that. We've touched upon how it affects everyone differently, but basically the sativa plant is going to be very uplifting and energizing. It's going to give you focus, creativity. Most people use it during the day because of that energizing focus effect. So it's kind of given, people use it during the day. I personally can use it at night and still go to bed, but generally that is not the rule of thumb. Generally, sativa is thought to be for day usage, because of the effects. Obviously, the percentages of THC are going to modify the effect that you're going to get from sativa. Higher THC, stronger effects, lower THC, lower effects. And like I said, terpenes also play a factor, but we're going to cover that later.
All right. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But let's talk more about let's talk more about the creativity, about the focus, because I don't think, at least from the focus perspective, don't necessarily know that cannabis and focus has gone together. Creativity, sure, but the focus. So let's start with focus a little bit.
Yeah, that's a surprising thing. We've talked about stereotypes in the past. It's a shame every time I see, although that is changing, people look at cannabis like, oh, you're just like so wasted. And that's really not the case at all. Like I said, a lot of that has to do with percentages of THC and terpenes. I generally, when I work, don't dose, but I have, and I'm able to function creatively when I use it to write, especially when you use it in different forms, like in a dab form. A lot of people compare the effects of a sativa dab to ADHD medicine, which gives you that creativity and the focus. Again, the effects are different for everybody, but yeah, you definitely can get creative and focused and work and function using a sativa strain. You have to know your body, what works, what percentage, what form, capsule, vape, whatever. But once you find the right combination, you can definitely function and go throughout your day and perform normally. And really, I mean, if you don't tell people, people are not really even going to know, because it's like regular medication. Most people don't know.
All right, let's go to the other extreme, indica.
Indica. So Indica, again, like Sativa, had its reputation. Indica, and I think it's still true, to an extent, that Indica tends to be the stronger strain. It's used for pain, for body relaxation. Um, Typically, a lot of people use it at night or when they want to get in a state when they're more relaxed. It's more of a body high, which is why it's used for pain. Again, like in our conversation with Sativa, a lot is going to depend on the route that you use. Edibles are not as strong as, let's say, a dab. The percentages higher are going to give you more of a body high, more of that effect than, a lower THC. And obviously the terpenes play a part in that too. That's why I continue to say that cannabis is such a personalized medicine because, you and I talk all the time about, different things that work, and we always run things off each other. And what will work for me, even though we're, different sizes, you're taller, or whatever, is very different. So it's a very personalized medicine. You kind of have to, work with your doctor, and, just talking to people and learning about different, methods, different effects of, the different strains that you're going to have.
So you had brought up when we were talking about sativa the stereotypes.
Yeah.
The stereotype on indica is its code word is in the couch.
Yes. It's generally true, like I said, and it's also used sometimes, for people that are suffering from a loss of appetite because it tends to be the one that gives you the munchies. They've gotten so technical now that they've even isolated, and that's why I can't wait to see what comes out. But they've isolated um, gene, I guess you would call it, for lack of a better explanation. I'm trying to explain it in a way that we would all understand, but the gene or whatever that's in cannabis that creates the appetite effect. So, people that are, looking for that, God forbid they have, cancer or something else where their appetite is down, they'll use the indica. Same as patients that have issues, they don't want to overeat or they're health conscious or whatever. They're going to use more of the sativa. But like I said, now that they're finding, the particular genetics, they're getting more and more into that. They'll be able to isolate it. So, yeah, I don't find indica unless you're going to do something like Rick Simpson oil and a very high percentage of THC to be in the couch. I think that that's also a stereotype because I think that even though people say that it's for night, I think you can use it during the day in a lower percentage, get relief and still be functional. And I think that overall, that's kind of the overall theme is that you are functional on marijuana. You live your life. It brings you to life. It allows you to do things without all of the side effects that we're getting with all the pharmaceuticals. We accept pharmaceuticals as a given, and they have way more side effects than we have, with cannabis use. And I think that the biggest misconception is that you're not functional, and you are, whether you use sativa or indica.
And in between, they call it hybrid.
Yes. So hybrid is the term for in between, like you said. They will refer to different hybrid strains as like sativa leaning or indica leaning, so that you can see what the effects are. Again, the THC is going to have an effect on that as well as the terpenes. What I like now, there's so much information out there, but there's even websites that you can go to, which I use sometimes, for my personal use for, finding out about particular strains, a Weed Maps or Leafly, and you can go in there and you can find it anywhere. A lot of the dispensaries have them, although they don't get into the specifics of different plants. But just to learn about them, learn about the different strains, whether it's sativa or indica, and really the effects that users experience. Again, each user is different. So, that's why I encourage a lot of dialogue with, people that use my services and journaling, so we can find the right plan and go back and forth with the doctor and really get into the specifics of what helps in what particular circumstance.
So we've gone through the classifications: sativa, hybrid, indica. What's really fascinating to me, especially in the state of Florida, where it's only medicinal, is that it's so scientific. And you had talked about earlier that it's really individualistic to the patient.
Yes.
So to me, it really is medicine, and it is really regulated and overseen, and it's studied. And every time that you get a prescription filled, you get the exact makeup of what it is that you're purchasing.
Yeah, I mean, they will show you in the certificate of analysis, it shows you everything, the components, CBD, how much is in it. Now I believe they're even showing the terpenes. So it's very individualized and it's very specific. And it is medicine. So whereas a patient that goes to pharmaceuticals only takes a particular medicine when they have anxiety and then another medicine when they want to sleep, for me, I know, okay, if I'm having anxiety, this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to use sativa, this strain, because I know it works for me. And, at night to sleep, I can use this strain. It's gotten so specific for me that I just know what works. Sometimes we have things that come up in our lives and we need more. And, I know in those times, what to do. And I work with my doctor and it can change. But I've never looked back. I don't have the side effects. I feel better than I've ever had in my life. Truly, I do all the other things that, we're supposed to do, sleep and eat right and work out. And, but honestly, at this point in my life, being a grandma with 2 grown kids, like I truly feel healthy and whole spiritually and in every aspect. And a big part of that is my cannabis.
Well, and that's the reason why you started your business and why you work with your clients. And also, you were describing that the strain that you like, and the product that you like. And every dispensary has a different product and different strains, and they're not always available. And that's another reason for your service, is because you're knowledgeable enough to be able to go and find something similar, either with the dispensary of choice or maybe another dispensary that may have a similar product and a similar strain.
Yes. And that's a big problem. When I worked in the industry, that was a lot of the feedback that was coming back from consumers: changing in packaging, changes in strains, as strains change. Different dispensaries will have different names. It's really confusing. And especially if you are using it as medicine and you've come to trust a certain strain or a certain, combination. So yes, I will work with the member in finding, the right strain. You can call me at any time. Any, simple questions to, questions that are, definitely more detailed. I will work with the doctor to find the best plan for, each patient, and kind of go through those hurdles with them so that they're not alone.
Sativa, hybrid, indica. One of those may be right for you. Maybe all three would be right for you. Maybe just different times of the day or different periods of your life. But that's why the Hippie Chick exists. So reach out to her and have that conversation about what cannabis is right for you, and she'll guide you through all of the ways that you can ingest, consume, and take full advantage for your health and for your mind. She is the Hippie Chick, Debbie Altman. I'm Bruce Silverman. Thanks so much for being with us on another episode of the Hippie Chick Helps podcast.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.